Hello, children. I hope you all are keeping fine. Today, we will learn a new poem. This is the first poem of our reader textbook, and the name of the poem is How Beautiful is the Rain, and the poet is H.W. Longfellow. Before we start with the poem, let me tell you something about the poet. The poet is Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, also known as H.W. Longfellow. He is one of the most important poet in the English poetry. Okay, and he has an innate talent of writing beautiful, simple languaged poems. He, at the age of 13 itself, had published his own poems, and later on, he finished his school and college, and he became the professor of modern languages at a very young age of 22. And after a few years, he became the professor of Harvard. But later on, he gave up his job and he dedicated all his time in writing poetry. Children, this poem, How Beautiful is the Rain, shows Longfellow's great gift of being able to write melodious poetry. He writes poems in a very simple language and about the things that really matter to our life or things that we come across in our day to day life. And this poem is really a song of praise. It describes how rain falls after a very hot day in the summer and how various people welcome it. This poem has lots of rhythm and beauty in it. Just imagine how nice it feels when after a very hot summer day rain comes and it gives us a respite from the scorching heat. Scorching means very hot, alright? Scorching heat. And this feeling is what is explained in this poem. In the poem, the falling of the rain has an impact on different people in different places. And the writer shows that the rain is a beautiful thing in many different ways. Okay, this poem begins with a description of rain following a dry hot climate, maybe a summer day. Okay, it is a welcome rain, so the poet is welcoming the rain in this poem, meaning that the land had been too dry and the weather too hot. The rain is also described as being full of energy, and he uses many metaphors in this poem to describe the energy of the energy of the rain. Now, first we shall read this poem, and then later on we shall understand the meaning of each stanza one by one. Alright? Okay. The poem goes like this. How beautiful is the rain after the dust and heat, in the broad and fiery street, in the narrow lane, how beautiful is the rain. How it clatters along the roofs like the tramp of hoofs. How it gushes and struggles out from the throat of the overflowing spout. Across the window pane it pours, and swift and wide with a muddy tide. Like a river down the gutters roars the rain, the welcome rain. Children, now let's understand the meaning of the first stanza. How beautiful is the rain after the dust and heat, in the broad and fairy street, in the narrow lane, how beautiful is the rain. Now, see, children, in the first stanza, the poet shows an exclamation, means he is excited about the rain which has come after a long summer day. All right. Now, after the dust and heat, in the broad and fairy street, in the narrow lane. After the dust and heat means after a long day of summer. Huh? What happens during summers? It's windy, it's very hot, it's all dusty, right? So, after this dust and heat, what happens when the rain falls? Where? On the broad and fairy street. Broad means very wide street, and fiery means very hot. Because of this summer day, the streets have become extremely hot. Okay, and in the narrow lane, the lanes could be narrow and or broad, But all these broad and narrow lanes, they are extremely hot, and they are called as fiery street. And on in this hot day when the rain falls, it looks so beautiful. Children, here the poet has repeated the line, how beautiful is the rain, in the fifth line also. So he is reiterating the significance of the beauty of the rain. All right. Now let's do the second stanza. How it clatters along the roofs like the tramp of hoofs, how it gushes and struggles out from the throat of the overflowing spout. How it clatters along the roofs. The meaning of clatters is to move with a rattling sound, or like when a hard object is falling or striking on something, that sound that it makes. So poet here tells that the water that is falling on the roofs is moving with a rattling sound. And how does it sound like? It sounds like the tramp of hooves. Now tramp means when you walk heavily or quickly, you make sound and walk. That is called as tramp. Now tramp of hooves. What are hooves? The animals like horse, ox, all these have a hard material under the foot. Okay, so that hard part of their foot is called as the hooves. So when these animals they walk, they make sound, and that is called as walking noisily. Okay, so the water that falls on the roof, it sounds like the tramp of these hooves. Now how it gushes and struggles out. How it gushes means to flow out in a very fast manner or quickly in a stream. Alright, that is gushes with lots of force. And struggles out means with it is trying to move out with lots of difficulty. Struggle out means to move out with difficulty from the throat of overflowing spout. Now, spout is when it's a kind of a pipe or a tube through which the liquid passes. All right, or is liquid passes, or liquid flows out. All right. So here the water that is falling on the roof is making lots of noise, and then it is coming out of the pipes with lots of force. All right, this is what the poet tries to tell in this second stanza. Now moving on to the third and the final stanza. Across a window pane it pours and it pours, and swift and wide with a muddy tide. Like a river down the gutter roars the rain, the welcome rain. So here in these lines the poet is telling like how beautiful it looks when the rain is falling on the window pane, and how swift means fast, and wider the gutter looks. A gutter is a drain, or in Hindi you call it as a nala. All right, and as they are full of rain water which is very muddy. Now you would have seen the first rain. How is the first after the first rain, what is the color of the water? It is muddy, right? Because it gets mixed up with the mud in the drain. Huh? And this rainwater is muddy, and it flows like a river in the drain. And this rainwater, it roars, means the poet is saying that the water is moving with such large energy, full of energy, and in such fast manner that it sounds like this rainwater has become a river which is roaring. All right, and he feels the overjoy of the first rain, and he welcomes the rain with open arms. So, children, that's the explanation of the poem. I hope you all would have understood it and enjoyed this beautiful poem. Thank you.